Hi everyone, it's time to show what I colored in February. And if in January I was too lazy to color, in February I was too lazy to make videos and I also had some technical difficulties. So I colored much more than I managed to convert into videos, so these videos you will see in March. I started February from this 2 pages spread from Magical Christmas. I started this picture in January and finished in February. I'm quite happy that I managed to maintain all colors which were traditional for Tudor time and also that I hadn't lost any of the main characters on a very detailed background. And I really love Tudor time. I read a lot of this time, so I decided that I want to color another picture dedicated to Queen Elizabeth. This picture from Teleho by Lizzie Cullen I colored with Inktense for the sea, Derwent Graphitin for the swirls, which look like clouds, and for Queen Elizabeth I used Prismacolors, because after my last year attempt to color face with Inktense, I really didn't want to ruin this beautiful picture. And I think that maybe regular pencils are better choice for this paper than Inktense pencils, or at least I will combining them in my future colorings. Next book will be Ivy by Johanna Basford, and in Ivy I started 3 pictures, but I managed to finish just one. I usually go and color Ivy when I am feeling not very creative and when I just want to relax. So I finished this one, which is quite simple with simple soft pastel background and limited amount of colors, but I enjoyed coloring it. First because I selected these warm summer colors. For me it's a summer evening, summer afternoon tea. And I also love how I managed to do flowers and leaves inside the circle, and that I added small golden details to the picture. I think that I will use similar colors to the left page, because I really love when spreads in the book are colored in similar way. I hope that during next couple of days I will manage to finish those 2 pictures which I started in February. I used different mediums for them, so I hope that it will be interesting to watch videos. If in Ivy I started but not finished pictures, in the next book, which is a search for the light bulb burglar, I managed to finish a picture which I started in November or maybe even in October of the last year. I finished this airship. The sky I started in the last year coloring, and for the rest of the picture I also used neon colors, and I added some small touches with Prismacolors and Derwent color softs. Most of all, I love here how my airship look like a weathered thing. It's already served a lot, so it has some beautiful stains, and I think that it's really have an air of steampunk time. Also, it was very quick coloring because I used mostly neon colors. But I also did a second picture from this book because I realized that I really miss coloring with watercolors. And paper in this book is absolutely amazing for all water mediums. For some time I wanted to color this portrait of the light bulb collectioner, his butler, and also of the detective, who started his search. Mostly I used here watercolors, and I tried to use colors which in my imagination are traditional for the Victorian and steampunk time, like rich claret, black, dark indigo, olive green, and as usual I did a watercolor underpaint and then added details with different color salts, and for the portraits I used Prismacolors. I think that I could work more on this picture, maybe to add additional texture to the clothes, to add color reflexes, but anyway, I enjoyed coloring it and I enjoyed to return to this book. And when I realized how nice is to work on the great paper, I decided that I want to color in another book with similar paper by the same publisher. So my next choice was a book by Jade Gideon, Thailand Escape. In Thailand Escape, I tried to color only with watercolors without additional pencils. It's like my own personal exercise. And I selected picture of this beautiful uh, fireback pheasant. I made a little research and I managed to learn that it's a national bird of Thailand. Here I mostly use my White Nights watercolors, but I also added a couple of colors by Daniel Smith. One is Lunar Blue and another one is Phthalo Turquoise, and those two colors were perfect for creating beautiful feathers. Also I used my Filbert Grainer brushes, which are perfect for creating texture. And only thing which I am not happy here is this shade behind the bird. First I colored the background, then I decided that I want to add shadow, and only when I colored the bird I realized that color of the shade and feathers are too similar, and now the picture looks like paint just was floating from the borders. So I made a mistake when I selected a color for the shadow. Next February book is Magical Dawn, and I'm really happy that I added two pictures to this book. You know that this is my most frequently used book by Hannah Carlson, and in February I colored this strange garden, or maybe a lace garden. I deliberately tried to use colors which I don't use very often. I don't use often such a bright red, I don't use often deep black shadows, so this picture was a challenge for me, and it was especially hard to decide how to color biggest flowers, and I'm happy that I managed to find this solution with adding some texture to the petals. I also added some lines with silver gel pen because I didn't have any white pen so far at that moment, so I added some silver lines, so this picture is also a little bit glittery. It has a strange feeling, maybe it's a gothic picture or maybe it's just a fantasy garden. Anyway, I'm happy that I step out of my comfort zone and that I managed to add another finished project to this book. But the second page from this book is honestly one of my best works so far. I'm really proud of myself, and I'm not very often completely proud of my works. When I looked at this picture, I immediately imagined this background with Egypt hieroglyphs carved into stone, and I'm glad that I also added this texture of the stone. It looks like a weathered stone. It was not an easy work. I consulted a lot of pictures from internet and I spent quite a lot of time on this background, but in the end I was absolutely happy how it looked. I'm also glad that for the scarab I used colors which are traditional for Egypt jewelry and I used colors from the jewelry from Tutankhamun tomb. I think that in the end I was a little bit tired of this picture, so I'm not completely happy of the blue-green gems, but I think that the golden pendant and body of the scarab beetle look really good. Everything here is colored with Prismacolors, and you know that I often use this color combo of blue greens and blues, and they are one of my favorite colors in Prismacolor set. Next is flower year, and in February I managed to do two spreads. First one from January I colored completely with Derwent Inktense and just a small touch of Derwent Graphitint. I can't say that I am completely happy with this one. I think that each and every flower look quite nice, but the whole picture is a little bit overbright and overwhelming. Too many colors maybe. At least I like yellow-orange crocuses and I definitely tested here a lot of green intense color combos. Second picture I selected from June. For some time I wanted to color the clover here. Here I mostly use polychromases. I think that I will publish speed coloring video the same time which I publish this review video, so you will be able to see how I did this. I am quite satisfied with all details of this spread apart from the background. Background is my usual problem in this book. I don't like to leave background uncolored, especially if I have light flowers. Traditional soft pastels background looks boring, but it was my best idea so far. So not completely happy, but at least I managed to finish it. I am absolutely happy that I managed to get back to Земля снова by Tomislav Tomic. And for the restart of this book, I selected this mermaid. The hardest choice here was this dark frame, but for me it's like some kind of mermaid portrait, maybe hanging somewhere in the underground castle. First I thought that maybe I will use one of my pearlescent watercolors for the border, but then I thought that it will be too much. My favorite part is this area around the seashell, and that I decided to make this pearl black. Here for the biggest fish I decided to use same colors which I used for the upper part of the water, and I love this decision, it was quite wise. And my biggest problem was this fish behind the mermaid, and I am glad that I used almost the same color combos, just in different proportion. Anyway, I was so happy that I get back to this book that I immediately started another picture from this book. Overall, February was a good and quite productive month. Also, I managed to add a lot of interesting new art supplies to my stash, and I am so eager to start playing with them. I thank you for watching, and I hope that during the next couple of days I will manage to do more videos about other works which I colored in February, or maybe finished during the first days of March. Thank you for watching, and happy spring to all of you!